Let's talk about a formula on how to start a successful lawn care business in 2024. Now, this video is going to be for the rookies, those guys out there just getting started, not quite sure what to do. Let's take a deep dive into how we're going to be successful in 2024. Let's go. Now, the first thing we want to do is something that I'm sure you've all heard before, but it's something we just can't avoid. We got to be a legitimate business. We got to learn how to establish ourselves as a legitimate business. We want to get a tax ID. We want to make sure we're registered with the state. You also want to make sure that you got a business checking account. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do suggest that you find like a local credit union or even try one of the big banks. Get yourself out there and started with a business bank account. Guys, there's too many people that I see out there that are cutting grass, and the only thing they got to say that they're legit is a business card, which means they're not really legit. If you're not registered, you're not registered. You're not a real business. All we got to do is look back a few years ago when we were going through our issue as a nation. The one thing that they made sure they took care of was businesses, right? The average guy wasn't able to take advantage of some of those opportunities just because they weren't a legitimate business. There's a lot of people right now who can't sleep at night because they did things the illegitimate way to access money that they were given to businesses. So the first thing I suggest you do is get yourself a business bank account. Also get registered with your state and get yourself a tax ID. That's step number one in leveling up in 2024 on how to be successful. So let's go. Now, these next few steps are going to all surround our customer approach. So I want you guys to get a pen and a pad and write this down, because a lot of times people tend to forget this, and that it's such an important part of the process and the formula on how to level up your lawn care business, especially in 2024. We want to make sure that our customer approach is right. Our customer approach should be with a smile and a greeting that, that they'll never forget, right? We want to make an impression on our customer to make sure they're the customer for us. So again, smile when you meet your customer, introduce yourself. It should become almost habit. Hey, I'm such and such with such and such business, right? That's how we're going to do that in 2024. Make it almost part of your spiel. And it is. That's just what it is. You may even run across people that, you're not even trying to tell them you have a lawn care business. It should become a habit almost that you're doing this on a daily basis. And that's the only way you're going to get good at it, is by repeating the process over and over again. And if you got a love for lawn care, hey, I don't care if you're speaking to the person in the grocery store, the person at the McDonald's line, tell them, hey, I'm such and such. I have a lawn care business. It may sound funny, but it works, guys. So we got to make sure that we're doing that, our customer approach, with a friendly greeting. Let's go. Next part is key. Again, write it down. We want to try to understand our customer. Every customer that we come in contact with, we want to make sure we're walking the yard with them. And I say this for an example. Had one customer who actually told me while we were walking the yard, hey, that's my rose bush right there. The last guy ran over it, so kind of look out for it. Now, guys, it was one little rose bush, maybe 6 inches. The guy had ran over it. It wasn't in the spot to where you could actually see it. So the first thing I did when I started cutting the yard was circled around that actual rose bush with the weed eater, cleared it out, make sure you can see a dirt circle around it, right? And that was important to the customer. Those are some of the things that I'm talking about when you're walking the yard with the customer. Pay attention to the things that go on that you may want to be aware of also in the yard. If they have toys in the yard, you may want to kind of give them a warning and tell them, hey, the toys in the yard will kind of slow me down, things like that. Ask them if they want you to move the trampoline in order to, get under it and make sure that there's no grass or anything under it. If they have a play set, we want to make sure that we're cleaning out that play set, because guess what? Their kids play there, and we don't need any grass growing up on it to where anything can hide, snakes or whatever the case may be. Again, it's so important that we establish ourselves as the expert. And those are some of the things that are going to help impress your customer when you're getting ready to get started in lawn care. Don't just take the shortcut and decide, hey, I'm just going to weed eat around it and pray for the best. We can't do that. We can't do that. We got to make sure that we're taking care of the customer. So it's important to understand the customer's needs. when you're out there in their yard and you're walking the yard with them. Now, the next step is establishing what we call in the sales industry as a WIFM. What's in it for me? No, I'm not talking about me. I'm not talking about you. What's in it for me should be the customer, right? The customer is always going to have that approach. Why should I be dealing with you as a lawn care person or business in general? We got to establish that there's a win-win situation. I like to look at it sometimes as a whiff for me also. You can do that, but you got to make sure that it's a 50-50 proposition. You're getting the money for doing the job, but the customer also should be getting quality service at the same time. And that's what you need to promise the customer when they say, what's in it for me? I can promise you that when I say I'm going to show up, I'm going to show up. Give them a specific range of hour or two when you plan on being there, what day you planning on being there, so they can arrange their schedule around the things that we previously talked about, making sure that the yard is cleared for you, so that'll prevent you from being in the yard longer. Also, we can establish a fee with the customer at that point in time. Look, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, if I come in and there is toys or there's dog poop or whatever the case in the yard that's not cleaned up, I do charge an extra service fee. Now, there we go. That is what's in it for you, to take that extra time to make sure that you're communicating with your customer. The customer wins because, hey, they know how that is. They say, hey, we'll make sure that stuff's out the way. And that way it doesn't slow you down in the process and during your day. Your next customer is just as important as that customer. So your time is of the essence. Make sure that you're communicating that to your customer. Make sure there's a win in it for them. They understand that you're the expert and you know what you're doing. So establish that from the day one. You're going to be the expert. You may not realize it, but you are what they call a SME, a subject matter expert in this business, the lawn care business. Now, if you're training yourself, educating yourself, this is what we want to use in order to establish ourselves as that subject matter expert. The win in it for the customers that they got a professional guy who shows up on time, gives them the service and the quality that they're looking for. So don't forget that. Write it down with them. What's in it for me? And I'm telling you, if you start applying this to your business when you're out there dealing with customers, it's going to be another opportunity for you to level up your lawn care business in 2024. Let's move on to the next. Now, this one is something that a lot of the pros don't even do, but I'm telling you, it works and it's going to help your business, especially if you're doing it and the pros are not. And that's the follow-up. We always got to check on the quality of our work afterwards, guys, because what's going to happen is if you're doing something, if you're missing something like we talked about earlier with the roses, if you happen to run over those roses, or if you're not actually taking the time to make sure it's easier on you the next time you get there by going ahead and circling around that rose bush, what's going to happen is that customer is not going to want you in their yard. They may not say nothing, but if you just mow and blow the yard and get out of there and don't follow up, there's a few things that'll happen also that'll cost you. You're not going to get paid on time, right? Every customer that I've dealt with and I haven't got paid on time, guess what I didn't do? I didn't follow up. So now I've learned that lesson. Hey, I've done the job. Is there anything else that you guys need? Or is there anything else that I missed that may have not done? Then I send an invoice. So we've had this communication. Now they've said that they're completely satisfied. I fulfilled my obligation. I delivered what I said I was going to do. Now it's time for us to get paid. So again, follow up is key. You guys hear all the horror stories about guys not getting paid. The time is of the essence. Don't wait a day or two to start sending your invoices out. Don't wait till that night. When you leave that yard, follow up with the customer. It's through text, email, whatever the case, maybe even a phone call if that's necessary. Now it's on their mind, right? It's a communication that I'm finished. They know you're finished. It's all in the same system. The process. We got to respect the process. And that's part of it. do your part, and the customer be obligated to do theirs. So let's go. Now, if you stuck around to this part of the video, that means you're serious about leveling up your lawn care game and your lawn care business in 2024. So I got a bonus tip for you. Go out and get registered with your local, state, and federal government to make sure we can get into some of this money. Lawn care is one of the most lucrative businesses that the government spends money on every year. And guess what? They have to. When you hear them talking about those budgets and things like that, those are the things that kind of disappear if we're not out there taking advantage of it. So we need to have ourselves in a good space and place to do business with the federal government. Register with your local state procurement offices. Google it in your area. Go out and attend some of these networking events and put yourself around successful people. Success breeds success. And if you're looking to make over $100,000 a year or whatever amount of money you want to set your goals on, this is how you do it. Other people who have tuned out, they're going to miss out on this. But since you stayed around to the end of the video, I also would like you to go ahead and subscribe and watch this video here or this video here in order to level up your lawn care business. Let's go.